Today's number is 450,000. That's how many paid driverless rides Waymo is completing every single day across 6 cities. No safety driver, no steering wheel, just you, a car, and an algorithm. More on why robots are suddenly getting funded like it's 1999 later on in the show. Google just gave 1.8 billion people a personal AI assistant that knows what's in your inbox. Micron's quarterly revenue nearly tripled to $24 billion on AI chip demand alone. And they're already sold out through the end of the year. Meanwhile, Meta is spending $135 billion on AI this year, but its next generation model can't keep up with the competition. So they're reportedly thinking about licensing with Google. It's been that kind of week, and it's not even Friday yet. I'm Don McKaylee, and this is your Morning Intelligence for Thursday, March 19th, 2026. Here's what you need to know today. Google just expanded its personal intelligence feature to every free user in the United States. Your Gemini AI can now pull from your Gmail, your photos, your YouTube, and more. And we need to talk about what this actually means for your data. Micron just posted the most important earnings report in AI this quarter. Record revenue, record margins, and zero chips left to sell. Meta delayed its flagship AI model and is reportedly in talks to license a competitor's technology. The irony on this one is really, really thick. Robotics funding just crossed a pace that's never been seen before. We'll give you the numbers here momentarily. In today's deep cut, Bloomberg just published an investigation into how the AI economy actually works. The answer involves a lot of money going in many, many circles. Let's get into it. On Monday, Google announced it's expanding a feature called personal intelligence to every free Google account in the United States. Here's what that means in plain English. Basically, Google's AI assistant Gemini can now connect directly to your Gmail, your photos, your YouTube history, your Drive, your calendar, your maps, and even your search activity. It reads across all of them simultaneously, and then it uses what it finds out about you to give you personalized answers. So you can one day ask Gemini, hey, when's my next flight next week? And it'll pull your confirmation email from Gmail, cross-reference it to your calendar, give you the gate, the time, and a reminder to check in. You can ask it to find that photo from your trip last summer, and it'll search your photos library using context from your emails and location history to surface the right one. That's the pitch. And honestly, it's a pretty compelling pitch. But here's the part that deserves a closer look. Personal intelligence originally launched in January of this year as a paid feature, only available to Gemini subscribers. Google moved it to the free tier to all US users in less than 2 months. That speed should tell you something there. When a company makes a premium feature free that quickly, it usually means the feature is more valuable to the company than it is to the customer. In this case, the value to Google is what? Your data. The more people who opt in, the more Google's AI learns about how real people use its devices and services. Now, to be fair, Google did build in real privacy controls here. The feature is opt-in and off by default. You have to actively choose to connect to each app. There are per app toggles, obviously. You can let Gemini read your photos, but not your Gmail, for example. You can discontinue at any time. Google says that the data isn't used for model training and isn't shared with third parties. And workspace accounts, your business and enterprise accounts, are excluded entirely for right now. But Malwarebytes found that 9 out of 10 people expressed concern about AI using their data without consent. And we know from experience that opt-in features have a way of becoming the default over time. Gmail's promotional tab was once opt-in. Google's photo facial recognition was once opt-in as well. The question isn't whether personal intelligence is useful. Clearly, it's incredibly useful. The question is how many people will opt in without fully understanding what they're giving Gemini access to in the process? This, to me, is the most significant consumer AI rollout of the year so far. Not because the technology is new, assistants have been reading emails for years at this point, but because the scope of it is so broad. This isn't one app, it's your entire Google life, connected to a single AI, available to roughly 2 billion people. That's never been done before at this scale. Google just made the most personal AI product in the world completely free. And in tech, when the product is free, it's worth asking what the actual product is. All right, let's get to the rundown. Our first story. Micron Technology reported second quarter earnings last night, and they were absolutely absurd. Their revenue, $23.9 billion. Analysts expected somewhere in the $20 billion range. Micron nearly tripled its revenue from the same quarter last year. Earnings per share came in at $12.20 versus the $9.31 Wall Street was expecting. Gross margins, those hit 75%. But here's the number that tells the real story here. Micron's CEO confirmed that every single high bandwidth memory chip the company can produce through the end of 2026 has already been sold. Every single one. It's only March, and every single chip is accounted for. The waiting list isn't shrinking here, it's only growing. High bandwidth memory is the specialized chip that sits inside every major AI accelerator. It's the component that lets AI systems produce data fast enough to actually be useful. Without it, the GPUs everyone's been buying are just really expensive paperweights. Micron's forward guidance projects $33.5 billion in revenue next quarter. That's over 200% growth year over year. Okay, so what? Well, if you've been wondering whether the AI infrastructure boom is real or just hype, this is your data point. The chips are already sold out. The money is real. Demand is outpacing supply, and there's really no other way to think about it. Our second story on the rundown. If you remember from Monday, we told you that Meta signed a $27 billion deal with Nebius for next generation chips. Well, today we learned the model those chips are supposed to run on isn't even ready. Meta has delayed its next generation AI model, codename Avocado, from March to at least May of this year. That alone isn't unusual. I mean, models are always getting delayed. But here's the part that is unusual. The New York Times reported that Meta's AI leadership has been discussing temporarily licensing Google's Gemini to fill in the gap. Let me say that again. Meta, the company that built its entire AI brand on open source Llama models, the company whose CEO wrote a memo titled Open Source AI is the Path Forward, is now considering paying Google for access to its closed models. The reason? Well, internal testing is showing that Avocado is lagging behind the latest models from Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic in logical reasoning, coding, and agentic task execution. The model reportedly performs somewhere between Gemini 2.5 and Gemini 3.0. Competitive, but by no means on the frontier of what a model can do. And Avocado itself isn't even open source. It's being developed as a proprietary model, a clear departure from the Llama playbook. So, Meta is simultaneously abandoning open source and still can't keep up with the companies that were never open source to begin with. All this while spending $135 billion on AI this year alone. That's the largest AI budget of any company on the planet today. Okay, again, so what? Money doesn't guarantee the best model, obviously. And the company that defined itself by giving AI away for free might end up buying someone else's instead. Okay, our final story in today's rundown. A quick one on the numbers front. Robotics funding in 2026 is on pace to hit $20 billion. That has never happened before. In January alone, 110 robotics companies raised $4.3 billion. That's 5 times the same month last year. And the mega rounds keep coming. In the past 2 weeks, Mind Robotics raised 500 mil, Rhoda AI raised 450 mil. On Sunday, a humanoid robotics startup hit unicorn status at $155 million raise. Oxa raised $103 million. And then there's Waymo. Alphabet's self-driving unit raised $16 billion at a $126 billion valuation. They're now doing over 450,000 paid driverless rides every single week across 6 US cities. That's beyond pilot program at this point. That's a transportation company. Okay, again, so what? The robots are coming line used to be a punchline. Now it's on the balance sheets. Physical AI is getting funded at a pace that suggests the people writing the checks think the technology is already ready to go. Whether they're right is the trillion-dollar question. But the money is moving, and it's moving quickly. Okay, a quick favor before we keep going here. If morning intelligence is part of your routine by now, and it's only day 4, so I appreciate you being here early, do me a solid and share this episode with at least one person today. Just one. Text the link, drop the link into a group chat, whatever works best for you and whatever is easiest for you. This show grows because people like you tell people like them, and I'm grateful for it. Okay, let's get into today's deep cut. If you work at a company that's spending money on AI right now, and honestly, who doesn't work at a company that's spending on AI right now, this one's for you. Bloomberg published a major investigation this week asking a very simple question. Where does all the money in AI actually go? The answer, as it turns out, is in circles. Let me walk you through one loop here. NVIDIA is investing up to $30 billion in OpenAI's latest funding round. The $110 billion raise that valued OpenAI at $840 billion. Sounds like a huge vote of confidence, right? Okay. Actually, OpenAI is also one of NVIDIA's biggest GPU customers. So NVIDIA invests $30 billion into OpenAI. OpenAI turns around and spends a massive chunk of that buying NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA books the revenue, rinse, and repeat. And it's not just those two companies. Microsoft has invested nearly $14 billion into OpenAI. In return, OpenAI committed to purchase up to $250 billion of Microsoft's Azure cloud capacity through 2032. Amazon invested $8 billion in Anthropic. The pattern is the same everywhere you look. Cloud providers fund AI startups. Those AI startups become their biggest customers. The money flows out and comes right back in. Bloomberg estimates that over $800 billion in these circular arrangements now exist across the AI industry. Now, here's where the actual financials get uncomfortable. OpenAI made roughly $4 billion in revenue in 2024. It spent around $9 billion, so it lost $5 billion in a single year. Its own internal projections show losses tripling to $14 billion in 2026, with a cumulative $44 billion loss from 2023 through 2028. The company says it'll turn a profit in 2029. Trust them, right? That's a long time to lose money at any rate. And when the money that funds the losses comes from the same companies that profit from the spending, you've got a system where everyone's incentive is to keep the music playing and to keep the chairs moving. I'm not going to tell you that this is a bubble. I'm not in that type of position. I'm also not going to tell you it isn't a bubble. But I think this is a framework, the circular deals. I think this framework is something worth having in your head when you hear the next record funding round or the next trillion-dollar valuation. The question isn't whether AI is real or whether it's helpful and useful. It clearly is. The question is whether the economics supporting it are self-sustaining or self-referential. And right now, a lot of very smart people disagree on the answer. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, the largest in the world at $2.1 trillion, called the AI bubble one of the greatest threats to the global markets today. The audience of this show is full of people probably whose companies are betting on AI right now. This is the framework that helps you evaluate whether those bets are backed by real demand or by money going in circles. So Takeaway here is follow the money per usual. And when the money leads you back to where you started, ask why. All right, before we go here, there's a mystery I want to tell you about. On March 11th, an AI model called Hunter Alpha appeared on Open Router, a platform where developers test and compare their AI models. No company name attached, no press release, no announcement, just a model with 1 trillion parameters and a million token context window, sitting there, free to use for anyone. The internet immediately lost its mind trying to figure out who made this thing. The leading theory? DeepSeek. When Reuters tested the model, it described itself as a Chinese AI model primarily trained in Chinese, with a training data cutoff matching DeepSeek's timeline. And the same anonymous account that uploaded Hunter Alpha previously uploaded another mystery model that turned out to be from Chinese AI lab Hippo. Neither DeepSeek nor Open Router has confirmed anything here. Both companies ignore requests for comment. So either someone quietly uploaded one of the most powerful AI models in the world and just walked away, or it's the most elaborate flex in the history of AI. The internet is still on the case. All right, tomorrow is our Friday show. We'll look back on the week that was and preview what we'll be looking at over the weekend ahead. GTC wraps up today, and we'll have the final highlights from NVIDIA's conference. Plus, Anthropic's March 24th court hearing against the Pentagon is now less than a week away. We'll preview what's at stake. We'll see you then. That's Morning Intelligence for Thursday, March 19th, 2026. If you liked what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. Share it with that one friend who keeps asking you, hey, what's going on in the world of AI? You know who they are. I'm Don McCaleb. Thanks for tuning in today.